Well. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Black Coat Media featuring Felipe Hemming. And our discussion today is the update regarding the final production of public records from Deer Park, Texas Police Department regarding the convicted child molester Earl David Warden. Um, this record request had gone out uh, this pretty much the same week or same few days after Mr. Warden had been arrested by the Deer Park Police Department, or the warrant had been issued for his arrest at the Deer Park Police Department, and it went from there. So that's what our discussion or the presentation is about today. Is about the records specifically are ones that relate to the communications sent to and from the Deer Park Police Department regarding Mr. Warden himself. And it's pretty interesting stuff. I believe it's pretty interesting stuff, and it's worth sharing. And I will upload all the documents to Document Cloud and provide a link once I'm done with the video. But other than that, it's good. It's what I do. It's public records that are freely available. But during a time of the guy this case, it made it difficult to get a hold of them. And as you can see which you'll see here in a second, as soon as I get them all opened up. And it's the interactions. There's some pretty interesting interactions that were found in these files from his subscribers and citizens that had contacted and attempted to contact the Deer Park Police Department based upon the stuff that Earl was claiming was going on. They didn't find any emails from Mr. Tim Hill or anybody from the Deer Park Police Department that were contacted about Earl, or about conspiring to go after Earl or anything of the such. But this went on out, and I'll get the first one, and we'll go from there and talk about where and why and the delay and all kinds of other good stuff. It's pretty wild stuff. So let me get into it, and we'll discuss it. And this is the area that it's my thing. It's what I do. It's the records request is something I produce and have produced for quite some time. So let's get into it. So we're gonna take a look over here, and we get rid of this here. There we go. And that's what we're looking at here. There's some of the first emails that were sent out on that were sent to the sheriff's department, or the Deer Park Police Department. This is even before his arrest. This was sent on Tuesday, August 20th, of 2018 at 4 p.m. About charges filed with Harris County District Attorney's Office. It wasn't Chief Al Espinosa. This is when Miss McKenzie and Texas Public Radio had made contact with different law enforcement agencies trying to figure out what exactly is going on and how is this guy out functioning and doing what he's doing. And this guy spoke with Chief Salvaggio about Earl Warden showing up to Leon Valley wearing body armor and Smith & Wesson 44 Magnum, and it went from there. And it talks about how Earl had made videos during this whole time, even beforehand. Back to the last video was where what was the catalyst that Earl did to get the attention of the Deer Park Police Department. Well, that was the interaction with Earl Warden, with Tim Hill, and this Miss McKenzie. And this is that conversation. And what was also we're going to show in here. This goes even further. This is all the communications sent to and from the Deer Park Police Department regarding Earl David Warden's activities prior to going all the way back to 2015. There's an email in here going all the way back to 2015 regarding what Earl was doing out at the facility. Now let me get that real quick here. Here it is right here. 6/11/2016, 225 near Title Road. And this is where he first started going on. This is before he was arrested, because he wasn't arrested. He wasn't arrested until I think November later on that year. But here he is right here. He had been out there before. It was interacting with these people. I don't know if he's even had it on video. I don't know if that video even exists. But that was his first interaction with these guys out there, was this whole situation where he's out there doing his thing. And then there's a significant event. This one later on. This is right after he was arrested. This is when he was arrested later on that year. So this is the first time he made contact with him. This is the first contact that he had with Deer Park was July 11th, 2016, and then went back on out there probably a couple times, so much so they knew who he was. And here is he talking about dispatched to the location where Earl was at, and this is where Earl was initially arrested. That case was then dropped for lack of prosecution, by the prosecution. And then communication with this gentleman here talking about, hey, call so we can discuss Earl and figure out exactly what's going on. And it's Lieutenant Hart, which is in charge of the detectives. That's Mr. Reed's boss. Here he is right here. And again, he uses the same verbs we used in our conversation in the interview room when we chatted. I guess he was recorded, which is discussing his Deer Park video. This guy had not seen his Deer Park video. And so let's jump forward real quick because this is the way this was laid out. A few months ago, this is going back this time, March of last year, Mr. Warden and Mr. Patrick Roth both went out to LaPorte, and they were doing this flashlight situation. Well, we're trying to figure out, why? What's the purpose? Why are you going out at someone's house at night trying to get an interaction? Well, it turns out that the detective on his case, Mr. J.B. Reed, lives in the same neighborhood they were walking in. So it seems that Earl may have found out through some third party where Detective Reed lived, and maybe he was going out looking for some type of interaction with the detective, trying to catch him on camera acting the fool. Who knows? It's desperate times calls for desperate measures. I mean, that's what that's as far as anything concerned that Earl's about, is trying to maximize the effect of what he was doing. He knew he was screwed. But this is right here, last night, right in front of almost right in front of JB's house, LaPorte PD arrested Warden and his crew for walking in the roadway where sidewalks were righted. As I said, not a wise enforcement action. Basically saying you should let him go, because this is going to create more crap for you. And that's from Deer Park. That's from Lieutenant Brown from Deer Park Police. This scrolls on down there, and the city manager. This goes back to regarding the 716. Good job by our office. This guy has it in for Shell. That's what they were. That's where from the city manager, Jerry Jackson. He does. If you're aware of the effect that a large entity or a large company has on the municipality, not just taxes, but the relationship. They're trying to maintain that relationship. And if you have some guy, a convicted violent felon like Earl, he raped a woman at gunpoint while pretending to be a police officer. They know this, and that he's now going out here trying to seek the attention for, filming a location. Then they really explain to it. If you go into it, this was, this one of the emails in here, why they went after him, why they were concerned about him. The guy showed up again today at Shell. We're going back to his vehicle, called a false report on a Shell employee. He called Earl, according to this email here, Earl tried to get a Shell employee on video to interact with him. And the guy wouldn't interact with him, and called 911. Called 911. Apparently, there is a video. So if you watch the video and get around the 1930 mark, you see him talk to what you see someone in the street masturbating. He knows it wasn't the case, and he called 911. So what they were doing, back 2016, they're like, this guy's trying to call in the police to an area to try to retaliate against someone who went after him. This is this guy's MO. If you don't play along, he's going to come after you. So here's the suspicious circumstances person in the vehicle. And so they called him out there. And it's a male being lewd, and he wouldn't show his hands or whatever this is. Trying to claim he was masturbating or doing something. So that's what's going on there. And this is 2016. This is six plus years ago now. And this is a story that was apparently put out by Photography Not a Crime, by News Now Houston. And I guess that's what that was. No, it was on YouTube. I guess it was on his community page. I'd have to look and see. And I wanted him to go back. I'm working on getting this. I'm working on getting all his emails. That's something else I'm working on. So this one section is 21 pages. So from that incident there, excuse me. There's another incident. This is what was going on. This is another one of his videos. This is going back to 2021 when Art Avezado was still the chief of police of the city of Houston. Maybe you recall it, maybe you don't recall it. Where Earl was out again at night, walking around Houston, and apparently identified an undercover police car or a detective's car, which you'll see, and he went there and started messing with him. So this was generated. This citywide officer safety alert, for Earl was sent out, and it's straight legit right here for informational purposes only. The Threat Investigation Unit was made aware of Earl David Warden, who's considered to be a possible threat to law enforcement. On 9 March 2021, officers working in undercover plainclothes capacity in an unmarked vehicle were approached by Earl Warden. Warden was live streaming it, and he went to an unmarked vehicle. That got his attention. This incident was presented to the DA's office, who declined to charge for interference with public duties on Earl. They are smart enough to figure out that this guy, they had the case they had on the guy, pretty much. Why stack it up? Because he was what, so he can claim that he claim that he's getting retaliated against. Here's another one coming from 2021, from January 2021, and this is the Jersey Village Police Department. This is where he was, I guess, he was arrested in Jersey Village. And this is the Houston Regional Intelligence Service Fusion Center. So he was in the Fusion Center, and it was out there. And Patrick Roth, News Now Patrick, self-proclaimed First Amendment auditors. They went out there, and that's where they're at. They're at Jersey Village, doing their Jersey Village nonsense. And it was all for what? For what? Lice and clicks? Sure, there's nobody in that neighborhood or either one of those neighborhoods that really cared they were out there, except the fact they're shining flashlights in people's homes, creating a disturbance and getting law enforcement attention, and then attempting to get something. So that's what they're trying to do. There's no need for it. There's no need to go out and do stuff like that. That's not activism. That's terrorism. So when your activism involves criminality, you're not an activist. You're a terrorist. It doesn't have to be violent, blowing yourself up type terrorism, but committing crime in the name of activism is terrorism. And here it is right here. Just as a Jersey Village deal. This is where they were outside a facility, and he's like, yeah, he's LAPD. You know what that means? He's LAPD. That means he's an educated police officer who's LAPD. And so as a result of that incident there, they resulted in 694 calls in approximately 4 hours, overwhelming their call system. And so they had to transfer calls, all their inbound 911 calls, to the Harris County Sheriff's Office. And then apparently while that was there, some made a terroristic threat to threaten to kill the occupants of the building. Imagine that. He has some interesting friends that like to say some pretty interesting things. And here's a tactical intelligence sections. At present, there is no direct information that Warden or his followers will be targeting facilities, but it appears to be typical for his activity. He and one other NOI, not sure what that acronym means, were involved in an incident in Texas City in a private sector critical infrastructure location last week. So this went out. There's an older one. So this is post 2019. It shows, we already know his DOB and his social and all his SPIN number. That's all other stuff. That's all public. But they decided to edit it out. And I didn't get these until last night, because the case was ongoing, and the Texas Attorney General's office said you can't have them until it's over. So this one goes back to September. So July, he first got their attention at a show, and by September, he's on the Regional Satellite Intelligence Center in Pasadena, Harris County, for suspicious activity. But this is not him. Know who this is? This is his colleague. Bunny Boots. Bunny Boots went on down there, and it was an associate. Apparently, he had gone out with him. That's and identify him right here. Palmer traveled to Texas from Alaska to conduct First Amendment audits, similar to Earl David Warden. And the Photography Son of Kind group. Well, it's not a group, it's a media outlet. But see, that's what happens when you don't vet people and vet them. And went from there. Palmer asked by Warden and his followers not to conduct any Second Amendment audits in the entire while in Texas. Yeah, no kidding. Palmer walks with assisted cane and only had a video camera during his contact with Pasadena Police Department. It is unknown if Ward was there. See, so this situation here is that because he was known to associate with Earl, it's kind of like birds of a feather type of situation. Mr. Palmer, as far as I know, is not a child molester nor a rapist. He's an honorably discharged Army veteran who's currently, my understanding, attending law school. I have had no derogatory interactions with Mr. Palmer in any way, shape, or form, and I've had many communications with him and family members when he was in custody up in Fairbanks, Alaska during the Obama administration. So, but he had gone out. There's videos on Bunny Boot's site about him going to NSA and having some interactions. But he wore this garb, and he got their attention. This is more of his stuff. He's out there with his cane, and we can just go on from there. But that's the kind of stuff that that comes about when you interact with people like Earl. This guy doing just an audit, and apparently it made it to the I guess what Earl would call it their fusion center. But these are all exhibits. I guess these exhibits were going to go someplace else besides where they went. So we'll find out. But now these are now into emails. This was sent 2022, and about Shell monies paid. So this person here wrote the chief regarding the allegations made by Earl David Warden. Chief, I was just wondering how much, if any, Shell Corporation has paid you and your officers to go after Earl David Warden. I understand that he is not very well liked in the area due to his First Amendment audit activity. No, it has nothing to do with it. Being a former law enforcement officer for 25 years, I find it amazing that people in businesses with such large sums of money can control local officials. I don't know how that's even relevant, and I typically don't believe this guy here that he's a cop, at all. What you obviously don't know Earl. Earl is a convicted violent rapist who, dressed as a security officer, pulled over a woman and raped her at gunpoint, and then later on, after getting out of prison, then molested his children. So, watching his latest videos, see Stacy has proof that officers pay off by Shell. Really? You bought into that, huh? You probably believe in the Easter Bunny and Santa Claus, too. But hey, you're entitled to believe whatever you like. Evidence till evidence proves otherwise. Not to mention your department failing to release all evidence in this fabricated case. I go, no, he can't. They can't do that if they wanted to. It's called the law, and you would understand that. I would hope that if any of this is true, we start terminating all involved and then resign. We cannot ask citizens to back the blue with continuous corruption. So this guy is lame enough to believe Earl. Pretty good. A former 25-year police officer. Or that's what he claims. Right. Or was Earl. I don't know. But that's somebody, one of his simps that follow. But this is Mitch McKenzie was key in a lot of this on-the-ground file collection and interaction to really get the Al Espinosa interview, the copies of different files, and I commend him for that. He did a really good job trying to do what he could do to get the word out about this guy. It absolutely did. Here's another one. This is from Libby Blair. It was forwarded to Libby Blair from Phil T, which is weird that they did it. An attempts to silence Mr. David Warden show how pathetic and poorly directed police department. Really, I don't even know if that's getting proper grammar. The practice of allowing off-duty personnel to serve as security for private companies while in uniform clouds the line between the what? Okay, I mean, I don't think so, but it happens all the time. Watch closely if the action against Warden fails, and I expect you to fire, all capital letters, the police chief and the officer involved in the Shell incident. You really weren't paying attention, were you? And here's right here. This is, I believe this came from Teresa Richard's YouTube channel, and it was a link sent to by screenshot, so it wasn't incorrect that he was being watched, but of course. And here's the files regarding Earl. This has to do with his previous case in Pasadena, going back to I guess 1982. The aggravated sexual assault case. Yeah, there's his charges there, and that's the frog. So they were, if the agency was paying attention to Earl. So for anyone to think otherwise is an ignorant statement. Here's a video plea from Earl's daughter. That's Foxy Roxy News, which is a local auditor or police accountability person, and watching this videos. Investigator Walker intercepted a 4-minute plus video where the defendant speaks about Deer Park Police, about anyone who's part of this case is going to eat dirt. Yeah, I remember that one. The defendant stated that anyone who's involved will have videos posted about him. He asked that people be on the lookout for the video soon. Still waiting. I will alert our deputies to ensure that he does not sneak any hidden recording devices in the court. He speaks briefly about the case, and he will keep you updated. Well, Jack Miller claims that Patrick Roth has a recording of the other proceedings. I don't believe him, but it goes from there. He goes, this is one here. Good morning, Lieutenant Brown. I received a phone call from a female named Miss Kenyon in Virginia. She stumbled across David Ward's YouTube channel and called us to inform us of his threat against a family in Deer Park by the name of Hill. That's again, people watching YouTube pay attention, and they call the police. She only knows that Ward threatened a man at Shell Refinery. When asked these video posts, she said she didn't know the time frame, but advised contact Harris County for threats at Shell, then transferred call to voicemail. I called back, she didn't leave you messages. So these people were concerned about what Earl was up to. It's just not people in the community, but people outside the community, as far away as Virginia. I mean, Miss Kenyon in Virginia didn't know Earl, obviously, and he had no idea that people who were on YouTube, the social media platform, were reaching out to local law enforcement and say, "Hey, WTF? How come this guy's able to get away with making these kind of stalking threats towards this guy? Only thing he ever did was do his job. That some weirdo was out there with a camera trying to get attention. He wanted attention, not the attention that he wanted, but it was the attention that he got." And this is another one here. This is from Sharon St. Martin to Greg Craig regarding an initial court appearance. And so they're communicating back and forth between the courts. Or Warden will have his initial appearance on Monday, 19th, and told Judge Aguilar, "Hey, I want to give you guys a heads up." So right here, so it was sent by Ben Catrib, the Sergeant of Courts Division, Judicial Threats and Use of Force Investigations, Subpoena Enforcement Unit. So they really were paying attention to this guy because, for obvious reasons, they did not, didn't seem to be violating the law and the process or doing anything of the such. But that's back to that one. I think that's about it. 21 pages of it. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that happens when you go out of your way to get attention from law enforcement, and it doesn't work out to your favor. You're going to get a pretty distant file. But there's another one. I'll share this screen with you real quick. Another logo where it's the final email from Harris County regarding that, because they all came out about the same time, and this is the things they said coming back, where the records are done. You're not going to get any more records regarding Earl because of this right here. Let me open this up here. And actually, this is from the District Attorney's Office. This is the most recent file that I've requested on my behalf for about Earl. Is this case file here? This is from them. This is regarding all. I requested on the 19th. I'll ask for any and all the complete Earl David Warder file. They're gonna. That is the last stuff that I'm likely get from the Harris County District Attorney's Office. I've gotten stuff from them in the past, but they're going to, like they often do, go through the process of seeking clarification of the law from the Texas State Attorney's Office in order to get further information. And that's really how the process goes. And that's when sometimes takes a while for the records to get produced. And apparently, as of 2019, there's been a ruling in the Texas courts regarding cases that Earl was convicted of, cases that involve crimes against children, sex crimes against children. Most jurisdictions do not allow uh, case files or records or testimony or anything that happened in court, even the court records themselves, to become public, because the victims in this situation here. It's of a sexual nature, and these occurred when they were children, and imagine it can only be very traumatic for them to do so, and so that's what that's about there. So that's that. So we will know more after the the state attorney of Texas, Ken Paxton, or Attorney General of Texas, decides what he wants to do with those records. So that's pretty wild stuff. But I'm working on some things when it comes to Earl as well. There's still a couple more things out there that I'd like to close the door on, and that's really what that is. And I mean close the door is I'm looking to get a hold of his files. I'm looking to get a hold of all the things that he had, and not from him, but because his property is currently in the custody of someone else, and he's not going to be able to use it for the next 20 years. I want it. I want to see who is communicating with. I want to see what was said about people. I want to really, open up that whole can of worms to see what that guy was up to. Some people may not find interest in it. Okay, great. This guy targeted me and targeted my family and went out of his way to create a difficult time for myself when all I did was tell the truth. And tell the truth about what happened and about my relationship with the guy. He tried to told very grand stories about all this and all that, but it's not the case. It's not what happened. But it's what happens when you deal with scumbags like Earl. So that's pretty much what I got going on. Let me see if I have anything else from. Yeah, this is what I got from. Yeah, I'll share that real quick. This was from the Galveston County. I think we may have gone over that last week. Yeah, it was a Galveston County one. Yeah, so that's that's kind of stuff that's gone out there. Is getting these reports like this one here and just putting it all together. This the aggravated assault with a firearm one. This is where Earl claims someone came to his house and threatened to threaten somebody, threatened him. Didn't happen. That's not what happened. But Earl did what Earl does. Earl lied, and tried to make sure seeing something that happened that didn't happen, because it didn't happen. But if anything else comes up, or anything of other nature comes up, that's what we're working on. We're working on a bunch of other stuff, and trying to get the word out, and trying to inform people about how to gain public records. So, because you have two choices in this situation, you can take the pre-digested and censored or sanitized version of the events provided to you by the mainstream media, that situation, or you can go out and request this stuff for yourself. Many times these public entities will produce these records without cost, especially if it's on digital format. They're not having to print it. They're just simply having to share a file. And it allows you as a citizen to learn more, to understand more what your government officials are doing, whether it be in matters like Earl or any other matter, trying to figure out how things work. And I think that's being a good citizen, being an informed citizen, and not relying on what people like Earl tell you what's going on. That's really what that is. So that's the way I look at it. And many of these entities were really, really reluctant to provide stuff. They're all trying to be compliant with the law instead of not be compliant with the law, because they seem to be good and honorable people. They did not just simply dump this content out there for me. You have to actually go looking for it. You see that was the warden. Just like these files here. This is from the state of Texas. The state of Texas, if they have a file, they'll give it up. No matter who the person is. This is from the state of Texas regarding Earl's initial charge when he went to prison back in 1985. This is the type of stuff that you can send in and request, and typically these entities will produce. intentionally and knowingly operate a motor vehicle to buy, quit complaining. That's what he did. No mystery of that. But but to say that he was being targeted for any other reason other than what he was doing is kind of ridiculous. But if people want to believe that, they're entitled to believe it. But Earl's not going anywhere. He's locked up for the next 20 years, and that's all we're doing now is just closing the book. And I think I actually forgot about this file, and when it came up this morning, when it came up on my email regarding Earl, I was like, well, I gotta share it. The only way I know how to share it is to make a video and put it out there. And what I will do is I will load up what I have to Document Cloud, and I'll drop in a link, and you can see all the Earl files there. And that's where they're at. This Document Cloud is a service provided by Muckruck, which is a public records entity. It's a entity that you can reach out to, and if you want public records and pay for them, they made it a business that you submit a request to them, give them a couple bucks for the work that they do, and then they'll get the public records if they're available to get them. But many entities have a public records request process or a public request portal to do it. Other states may have a process where you can go in person, call by phone, by mail, by fax, by email, or they're through the portal to get the records. And again, these are the records that they're of what you're paying for, and I find value in it because it gets the whole story versus what may be the publicly known story via the media outlets. Not saying they're not doing their job, but as has been explained to me, is their stories are so small and they have such little time that they're on to their next story. I get it. I mean, I understand having a job and having limited time to do what you need to do, but that's what's going on out there. But on the topic of the getting hold of the rest of Earl stuff, I'm working on it. I'm interacting with a person that's very, very close to him, that was present the day that he was sentenced, she's already appeared on video, and she'll likely produce because she's not blood related to him, and money talks. And when and knowing what I know about her is she will work for food, and she will produce these documents and these files and do what it is, because they're not interested in anything. What benefit can they receive by not giving them up? That's really what that is they don't have any benefit. Their cash cow or their content creator is gone. He ain't going anywhere. I'd even be willing to buy his channel just to kill it. Buy both of the channels just to kill it, just to get it, just to make it disappear, because that's how strongly I feel about that individual. But I digress. So I'd like to thank you for your time, because I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this bad boy on up here, and I wasted enough of your time to talking about this. But as I progress in this, the content will get better, I'm sure, and it will change off the topic of Earl, because there's far more important things going on there, and other situations out there, and other individuals that are not necessarily doing things to the level that Earl did them, but they're out there doing stupid things and making stupid claims, and I'm just here to provide the truth, and that's all I'm trying to do, is just provide the not just the truth as perceptive, but the facts. Let's just call it that. Let's provide the facts, or at least what's being documented or being reported by state actors or government officials or whatever the communications are. And these are some of the things that are available through public records, emails, communications, and it provides a bigger picture. And that's, I think, what most people want, is to have as much data as possible to make these opinions their own. And that's really what I want to provide, is something that the regular media is not providing, is all the data for you, the citizen, to absorb and develop your own opinion, because I think that's important, and I think that makes an informed citizen is the best kind of citizen out there. So I appreciate your time. Thank you for coming out and sharing your time with me. I hope everybody has a great day. Thank you.